welcome. The London 2012 Olympics closed on Sunday, and as you've seen, the biggest sporting spectacle in the world is not just about individual endeavour, it's also about the pride and belief of nations. Sushil Kumar's silver medal on the last day of the Games took India's medal tally to 6, making it India's best performance ever at the Olympics. But even as we celebrate the achievements of our sportsmen and women, giving us food for thought is the fact that India finished these Olympics at number 55, and 6 medals simply don't reflect the size and ambition of this country. So where do we go from here? Let's ask the man who should have some answers. Please welcome on the show today my guest, Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, Ajay Maken. Mr. Maken, good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And are you a happy man? Are you a dissatisfied man? How are you seeing our performance?
Well, I am very happy, excited and elated by the performance of our athletes. I think this is the best ever Olympics so far India has had, and 6 medals, which is a direct jump of 100% from where we were in Beijing. I think it's a good performance by our athlete, and more so, many of the athletes who could not make it to the medals tally, to the podium, they've also performed so well. 3 of our players in track and field events, they could reach finals. Then Kashyap was the first person to be
in the quarterfinals, men's badminton.
Badminton. Our boxers, such a large number of them went up to the quarterfinals, and the wrestling also. And I think the younger players amongst our 81 strong contingent, they played so well that we've lot of hope now for the Rio and for 2020.
So you're seeing the glass is half full. Clearly.
No, I see it is quite full. Like
not just half full, higher than half full.
Yeah, much higher, because we should compare India with India. We should compare India with its past performance.
Even if we were to compare India with India, you look at 2008 where we had a lesser number of medals, exactly half, and yet our rank would have been higher because we got a gold. In fact, even today we are at number 55, and countries which have far lesser medals because they've got a gold, you know, maybe Tunisia, Trinidad, Tobago are higher on the rank. But is that a concern?
No, I don't think so.
Why is that?
If you are there in Olympics, as I was there, you would find that winning a gold and silver is just a miss by 1 point in shooting, like it was there. And in like what happened in Sushil Kumar's bout on Sunday is something he could have won also. It was just because of a last minute problem with his health, with his stomach, that he could not, he wasn't 100% fit. So coming in first 3 is anyone can be a gold medalist. So winning gold medal or bronze or silver doesn't matter. The most important thing is, first of all, to qualify. 81 of our athletes could qualify.
Which means they were competing, they were not filling quota spots.
Absolutely, it was not quota spots. It was not that anyone could have gone there. They qualified, they won different international competitions, only then they could qualify. It doesn't mean that we are lowering our benchmark. We would expect our athletes.
In fact, you know, a lot of people would believe that we are lowering our benchmarks in the sense that we are happy कि अच्छा इतना तो हो गया तो बहुत है. Do you feel that's you know that a lot of Indians and a lot of analysts believe that this is our mentality, that we don't have that killer instinct. We are happy with the silver.
It is not so. We should be very happy with the way we have progressed, and simultaneously also we should strive to do better for the future. If we do not give due credit to our players who have performed, how we would motivate others to come up and take up sports? We have done much better. And again, another statistics, like before 2008, other than hockey, we could win just 3 medals. And in 2008 and 2012 combined, we have won 9 medals. So isn't it an achievement?
So you think it's a turning point?
It is a turning point. Like it was in 1984 for China, 2008 or 2012 is for India.
Let's look at the kind of investments that your ministry and the Sports Authority of India has put in. And from some of the facts and figures that I've got, shooting, boxing, athletics, these 3 disciplines took up the maximum of that 150 crore rupees that you had to spend over the past year.
In total, this is what you are talking about is OPEX London from April last year.
I want you to sort of evaluate the return on investment. So if you look at shooting, you have 2 medals and 1 near medal, that is Karmakar, right? You have boxing, you have 1 medal, which is the woman's debut, Mary Kom, of course. Athletics, you have nothing. What do you need to do? Just look at these 3.
Well, I think now in the past also what we have done is that we selected initially 13 disciplines wherein we spent money. And we had set aside initially 260 crore rupees. So money was no constraint. So where you find less amount of money spent, it doesn't mean that the government didn't want more money to be spent. It was that no more money was required. Hockey, we have spent more money because in hockey we have a full team. Wherever it goes, the entire team, the money has to be spent. So, shooting, you will see more money it has been spent because of the ammunition, because of the training which these players they undertake when they are abroad. So, any game, even wrestling also, like athletics also, Dinesh Punia wanted, this Krishna Punia wanted to go to USA, we sent her to USA, then she wanted to go to South Africa, we sent her to South Africa. This badminton players, they wanted exposure throughout the world, so we sent them across to at least 20 locations in different parts of the world.
So you're saying that these, the fact that I mentioned these 3 disciplines as getting the biggest investment doesn't mean that your focus was on those 3?
No, it was not so. You'll be happy to know that we had set up a steering committee for every discipline. And in total, 53 to 55 steering committee meetings took place.
If you look at these disciplines that we've spent on, and if you look at the ones that you've spent the most on, are you happy with the returns? How are you evaluating them?
Well,
Share
I'm
with us.
very happy because, as I said,
no medals in athletics?
No, medals in athletics is something in the past also. If you look at India's performance in athletics, we have at least better in 3 games, we have bettered the national records. Krishna Punia, Vikas Gowda and Irfan Dodi, all 3 of them, they came to the finals for the first time. And in the past 100 years, only 5 of our athletes could come to the finals. And this Olympic alone, 3 of our athletes, they have come to the finals. So don't straight away think that why didn't they win the medal. Coming 7th in the world in discus throw by Krishna Punia is not a small achievement. And Vikas Gowda coming 8th in the world in discus throw is not a small achievement. Did we ever hear in the past our athletic teams, in field and track, doing so well? Never. So all these players, they have excelled and they have a very bright future. Let us encourage them so that they do well in the next Olympics.
In our reportage of the Olympics, we've talked about the fact that there has been a plan, that at the ministry you have a plan, the government has a plan, and we've also recorded the effort and investment made by private bodies, whether it's the Olympic Gold Quest, Mittal Champions Trust, there may be other smaller bodies. How do you see these 2 efforts sort of work in tandem, and how was that process?
I think this is something which not many people know, that Mittal Champions Trust and Olympic Gold Quest, both of them were in constant touch with us. And I compliment them for the efforts which they have made. Secondly, it is not only the amount of money which they have spent, they should be given credit for. Besides, at many times, they brought to my notice personally the cases of some athletes who are not getting enough attention as it was required. So they act as a bridge between that athlete and the minister by bringing it to my notice or to the notice of the ministry about certain lapses in our programs, and we immediately, as soon as it was brought to our notice, we used to do that. Like this Joydeep Karmarkar thing. Mittal Champion Trust people, they told me that he is an excellent player, why are we not giving him money from the National Sports Development Fund? So I took it up, the steering committee, the screening committee rejected his case. I took it upon myself. I directed the screening committee on the advice of Mittal Champions Trust to release money to Joydeep Karmarkar. For Mary Kom also, Olympic Gold Quest said that she deserves a coach. Why is the government not giving her a separate coach? So this gap is bridged by these foundations.
You know, interestingly, we've been speaking to both Mittal Champions Trust, Amit Bhatia, whether it's Keith Sethi, Virendra Raskina, all these gentlemen. And the feedback is, the feedback to you and your ministry is quite positive. So that's good news. I'm sure you're aware of that. But the feedback also is that federations are resisting their efforts, and it has taken them time to make federations understand that, look, we are not poaching on your turf. What is that relationship like? Is that going to be better? And what can you do about it?
It's very interesting, because when they bridge this gap between the athlete and the minister, between the athlete and the government, so obviously the federations, they get upset, because they think that it is their sole right and authority to represent a game or an athlete before the government and plead for them. So that is where their whims and fancies come into play. So these people like Mittal Champions Trust and Olympic Gold Quest, they are professional bodies. So they evaluate these athletes in a professional manner. And we also here have full faith in them. In government, we do not have expertise of such professionals who are all former players. There is a need to bridge the gap between the player and the government at the highest level, so that there is no hindrance in between and the player directly gets the benefit of the money which the government is willing to spend on the players and development of the game.
Besides this, there is also another kind of private sort of support, isn't it, this time round, that we can see, and which is that former players and their own private academies. So whether it's Pulela Gopichand's, whether it's PT Usha's, what role do you see these people play, and their academies play?
These academies play a very important role, and you will be happy to know that as far as Gopichand and PT Usha's academy is concerned, the government adopted these academies for the preparation of Olympic Games. So instead of the amount of money which we pay to different other organizations, we were paying directly to these academies for the stay of the athletes, for the equipment which was needed, and for the daily utilization of resources. But we further need to take it up further.
Will you be doing more of this going forward?
Yes, absolutely. That is what I am saying. With Gopichand, what we intend to do now is, we would like him to expand his facility there. So if for one-time expansion of the infrastructure which Gopichand has, the government should help him, and we are willing to do that. So we've got a number of such athletes, such iconic players in our country, whom we would like to develop their academies, and then they should also further look for private sponsorships.
What about hockey? You know, already, Hockey India, I believe, has asked for reports. We know that in February, we were all, including us, we were all calling Michael Nobbs the savior of Indian hockey. Just 4 months later, he is now the villain.
I don't think Michael Nobbs should be turned as villain. Michael Nobbs, had it not been for him, India perhaps would not have even qualified. So when we qualified, I give all the credit to Michael Nobbs, and I was there when we played our first match against Netherlands. We were just absolutely brilliant.
So the point I'm making is that we have this tendency, and in hockey we have seen the kind of mess the administrators have made. It's gone to court. You know, we know all of that. The question is, do we see that same drama repeat itself? Now some players are against the coach. The coach, in any case, before going, said that, look, don't expect a medal, aim for 2016. So the point is that, will we see this kind of drama, vilification, or does the fact that he has a long-term contract going to protect him? How do you as sports minister see the hockey post-mortem being conducted?
Well, first of all, I would like unification of IHF and Hockey India. So it has the main reason behind poor performance of hockey, I somehow feel, is it lies in the fact that both these bodies, because of the ego problems amongst their administrators, the kind of situation where we are in, it is because of these two warring factions. With Michael Nobbs, we have a long-term contract. And the contract normally is with the Hockey India, and between the Hockey India and Michael Nobbs, the government only pays the money. We always support the idea that we should have long-term contracts with our coaches. It should not be just for 1 year or 2 years, because the coach should be allowed to develop the team in a long-term with a long-term perspective. So that is what we want with Michael Nobbs.
Do you agree with what Michael Nobbs said, after the first couple of matches, that the senior players are not playing up to their potential?
Absolutely, I agree. And when I was there as a part of official delegation, for the first time, instead of taking officials in official delegation, I took former Olympians along. So with me was Aslam Sher Khan, our former legendary Olympian, and Ashok Dhyanchand, again a former legendary Olympian and son of Dhyanchand. So with two of them, I went to the practice session of hockey, and there when they talked to the players while coming back, they were saying कि इन लोगों में दम नहीं है. तो I asked why? इन लोगों में जज्बा नहीं है. I asked why? हम लोगों में तो ये जज्बा था कि अगर हम वापस चले जाएं देश में बगैर मेडल लिए तो हम लोगों को घर में नहीं घुसने देंगे. इन लोगों में वो जज्बा नहीं है. So these two players, after talking to our players there, they just found out that the players, they would not perform up to 100% of their capacity, and eventually that is what happened.
What about archery? Because that seemed to be a big letdown. Before the Olympics, we were speaking to experts and the feeling was 4 to 10. 4 to 12 medals, and archery was supposed to contribute at least 2. Is that disappointing?
Well,
because questions are now being asked on whether our world champion Deepika Kumari is really, world champion material. What happened there, you
archery is something which, again, other than hockey, these are the only two sports which have disappointed me. In archery, obviously, we were expecting 2 medals. One for women from women team event and the other from Deepika Kumari. I think perhaps these young players perhaps would have got overawed. Perhaps an absence of a mental trainer as was provided for the shooters, perhaps that would have overawed them, or some reason which is not known to us now, but we definitely with the help of association, their federation, we need to look into the causes for such performance, because our archery team, they are capable to perform much better.
Going forward, you've been quoted, I think you told Karan Thapar that 25 medals in 2020. If that's the kind of projection you're making today, that's a long, hard road before you. So if you look at the 2012 performance and then say that that's your goal, what is the roadmap? And let's start with the budget, because your ministry got what, about 1,000 crore rupees in the last union budget? Is that enough? What would you need, and what's your plan to reach that number?
Well, the first thing which we lack in is a good sports science setup.
Yeah.
So unless we have a good sports science setup, we will not be able to achieve 25 gold medals, the target which we have set up for 2020. So you will be happy to know that in the 12th plan, for the 12th plan period, and the Expenditure Finance Committee has also approved, and Finance Commission also has approved, a setting up of a National Institute of Sports Sciences and also Coaches Training Institute. So with these two things, when we set up, and for this National Institute of Sports Sciences, I am going to the cabinet within a month or so, and we've set aside around 500 crore rupees to be spent on these two world-class institutes. And once we have this world-class National Institute of Sports Sciences and Coaches Training Institute, then I think training of our elite athletes would be much better. That is why I have kept the target for 2020.
Okay, so you talked about the National Sports Science Institute or Center that you want to set up. You said you'll go to cabinet. Now you're sounding very optimistic. We know what happened to your last big pet project that you took to the cabinet, the sports bill.
Yeah.
Now the question is, they wanted it revised. You have revised certain clauses. Where is it now? Will it ever get presented before Parliament?
Well, of course, I want it to be presented.
Is that hope, or is that a reality?
This is something which is going to be reality very soon. I am very hopeful still. But when it comes to the Parliament, it needs to be accepted in the Parliament also. And it is not only leaders from the UPA, but many from the NDA also. They are opposed to it. So it is. But again, with the large public support now behind this sports bill, many people now want the transparency and efficiency in the sports bodies. Now, since our Olympics have generated so much of public interest debate, I think it would be easier, and I am now going to take it up again since Olympics are over.
A lot of people, even if they sound cynical or realist, you're a politician, you'll know best, but they believe this is a lost cause, that you are fighting a battle you're never going to win. What do you have to say?
So then what should I do? Should I stop fighting the battle? Would that serve the purpose? No. I have to fight the battle. Okay, that is something which I have already done so. So for the first time, a bill of this kind was brought to the cabinet. Obviously, it was shot down in the cabinet, but I am going to take it up again.
So
it doesn't mean that I should just keep quiet and sit back on my chair and say, okay, now I'll not take it further.
Right. Now,
when I know, when public support is there, when I know that this bill is in the larger interest of sports of our country, so I'm going to take it up again.
Okay, so you'll take it up again. Now, I have a suggestion which I'm wondering if you've considered, which is that one of the big sticking points and one of the reasons that this bill, is part of it is to make the BCCI accountable, to bring it under public scrutiny by making the RTI applicable to it and all of that. What if you keep the BCCI out of it? Because then at least the sports federations that govern Olympic sports and non-cricket sports, at least that might go through.
In that case, I may be accused of letting the BCCI off. There will be many people in the country who are sports lovers, who are cricket lovers. They would ask me, they would question my wisdom of letting the BCCI off. But I do not disagree with the suggestion which you are making. This may be one of the options left
to win at least half the battle.
Yeah, to at least begin with, and then try for the rest of the things. This may be one of the things.
So I've heard you say that separately to the sports bill, you have also asked the CIC to try and see how the BCCI can come under the RTI scanner. What do you have to report on that attempt?
Well, it is still pending before the CIC, and we are very hopeful that CIC is going to decide in our favor. Once CIC gives a decision in our favor, then I don't think BCCI will have any objection on the bill. Then in that case, they would be left with no other option. So the CIC ruling, or we may in that case drop BCCI from our bill also, because when CIC decision comes in our favor, so we will have nothing else to say.
And clearly you're a patient man.
I am, because I have started one thing which I think, and I very strongly believe, that is in national interest, is in the interest of the sports. So I'm not going to let it off just like this.
You were at the Olympic Games, you saw many of our athletes perform, you saw many of the world's best athletes perform. Any one moment that made you feel really inspired?
Well,
given that there were many.
I was in almost in all the games where India participated. And I think in all the games, like in boxing, the way our Indian boxers, the young boxers, they were performing, that inspired me, because boxing is a power game. Like the way our boxers, the young boxer, 18-year-old Thapa, even though he lost, but the way he won one of the rounds, 3 rounds which he fought, inspired me. An 18-year-old boy fighting against one of the world champions and giving everything is something which the new India represents, is something which the new India is. They give everything to win. So this is something which gives me confidence to get 25 medals in 2020. And this is why I am saying this is something which is achievable. Well,
we hope it's achievable. We wish you all the best, because we would be very happy if it comes true. Thank you.